What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode, and today we are talking about the fastest cars under 40K you could buy, part 2. Now, initially, I told you the first video that we did under 40K would have a second part, and that's what this video is going to be. So if you didn't like any of the cars on that list, you're like, yo, I want a little more power, I want a little more style, you feel me? I want a little more handling. If that's you and you just really didn't rock with none of them cars on that list, this list is for you. So without further ado, let's talk about it. Bring it in. What's good, y'all? So before we start this video, make sure you check out the music, okay? Make sure you go to Ron Low on Apple Music, Spotify, all of the above. Make sure you check the store, lowexcelsapparel.com. Get what you need there as well. Support the channel, support yourself, and look good while you're doing it. You feel me? But let's get into this video though. Number 1, this may surprise you, and that would be a 2023 to 2024 Nissan Z. This came equipped with a 3-liter V6, 400 horsepower, 350 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60, what we talking? 4.2 seconds. So, this is going to be by far the newest car on this list. When they first came out with this car, it was overpriced. And the market that it was competing in, to be fair, it wasn't better than those cars. But today, if you're in the market for this, you can actually get a decent price on it. They're kind of now priced more so where they should have been initially when they first came out. And it's definitely a good buy for you. You know, under 40K, this car does pretty much everything you need it to do. Now, is it the best at doing what it can do? No. But if you want to be different, you want to have something that a lot of people don't have, you jump in this. There's not many people that have this platform or supported this platform because, once again, they just didn't think it lived up to the capabilities that it should have, right? A lot of people bid in 370Zs, 350Zs, and they ran them into the dirt pretty much. And they got everything out of that car that they could get. So when they came with this, their expectations were so high that you really could only do wrong for this car, you know, and that's pretty much what the developers did, unfortunately. Shout out to Nissan because I do support them, but they did partially drop the ball on this car, but it's not as bad as you think it is, but it was bad for the price that they was asking for. So right now, it actually makes way more sense to jump in it. So this is going to be a car, if you want a newer car, jump in this. You're still going to have your warranty. It's still going to be covered. Anything go wrong with it, they'll take care of it. So that's definitely going to be a plus for you if you decide to jump in one of these. When it comes to reliability, it's average for the moment. You know, there's not too many problems that was listed with this car because, of course, it's still brand new technically. So as time progresses, it could potentially go one way or the other. Maybe good, maybe bad. I doubt it would be really bad because they really used a lot of the parts that they used from the previous platform, which was the 370Z. So I think overall you're going to be good with this car. But issues that you may run into, some people had issues with the suspension. Not that it was a problem, but it just had a weak suspension. Tires, you know, the tires really couldn't grip. A lot of people mentioned that the tires were cheap. You have to really replace those immediately. It did have a recall on the pedestrian detection sensor. Okay, so make sure that was looked at when you do cop one. And a lot of people mentioned it had dual steering. Those could be deal breakers, you feel me, for you. It depends on what you're looking for. Once again, this car was not the best car in this segment, so a lot of people overlooked it and just didn't want to purchase it. But if you're in the market now, you want a sports car, but you want a new sports car that's still under warranty, this is definitely going to be a great car for you. But without further ado, let's move on. Number 2, that would be a 2007 to 2009 Aston Martin V8 Vantage. This came equipped with a 4.3-liter V8, 380 horsepower, 302 pound-feet of torque. But in 2009, they upped it to 4.7 liters, 420 horsepower, 346 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60, what we talking? 4.1 seconds. So this right here is if you really trying to style on them, okay? If you really trying to stunt, you really trying to look good, you really trying to be different, you really trying to be prestigious, this is what you want to do it in, okay? It's an Aston Martin Nobody got Aston Martins. Fun fact, y'all, Aston Martin is my favorite brand for a vehicle because I feel as though it's just, one, is different, two, it's rare, three, it demands attention, but it's classy. You feel me? And a lot of people say it's for older people, which a lot of older people are the only people who can afford it. But I feel as though if they appealed a little more to, middle-aged people and possibly younger people a little bit, not too much, I think this brand would do better, but it's still doing decent for what it's worth. But I just always love Aston Martin. It demands attention, and I think they just stick to what they know the best, and they do it very, very well. No other car really looks like an Aston Martin on the road to this day. So I rock with Aston Martin just off that alone. This actually had above average reliability. Okay, many people didn't have too many issues with it, and when the issues did happen, they actually could potentially work on it themselves for the most part. But when those issues did come up, would be clutch failure, timing chain tensioners, subframe corrosion, that's definitely something to check into, and electrical issues. So this car is going to be one of the older cars on this list, actually the oldest car on this list. So you definitely want to do your due diligence when you're looking to get this car from someone else that definitely had this car possibly for a long time. You never know. And these might be things that they never worked on, or they may have worked on years ago. So you want to know the timetable of when they actually did these actual repairs. So when you jump into it, you know, okay, I at least got maybe 20,000 before I have to work on this, or maybe I got a year or two before I work on this. You feel me? You want to be knowledgeable on that, so you don't jump in and just have to drop bread immediately. You feel me? We want to actually definitely avoid that if we have the possibility to do so. But let's move on. Number 3, that would be a 2015 to 2018 Maserati Gran Turismo. This came equipped with a 4.7 liter V8, 454 horsepower, 384 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60, what we talking? 4.8 seconds. So I know what y'all thinking. I know. You had a video previously saying, the worst cars to buy, and the Maserati was on that list as a whole. And I feel you. But this car right here, in this price range, would just make a little more sense. Now, when it comes to reliability, it is below average. I'll be honest with you. Okay, it's not a favorite on this list. But if you, once again, want something different, want something that stands out, want something that demands attention, that's also luxurious, that could actually put a lot of power down, this is definitely going to be a good option for you. Now, of course, you're going to want to make sure that a lot of the things that go wrong with this car was addressed before you jump in it. But if you can keep up with this car and really be proactive, I know y'all heard me say that before. You really want to be proactive with this car. Just don't even wait for something to go wrong. If you know something is, halfway through its lifespan, just get those parts, have them ready for you in the garage, wherever you may be staying at, wherever you collect your parts at. Just have that on the backup, so once this goes wrong, I'm not wasting no time. I'm getting it done. Now, of course, it would help if you could do the work yourselves, but if you can't, have somebody that can work on these cars, and that also could be very costly. All of these cars relatively are going to be more costly to maintain for the most part, not all of them, but this one in particular, of course, it's a Maserati, so it's going to cost. You already know that jumping into it. And mind you, you're getting a car that was once way more than what it is today. You feel me? So this car depreciates crazy. So you got to know that. Don't think this is going to be a car that you jump in for a little bit and flip for the same price that you bought it for. This is not one of those. This is definitely going to be a car that drops tremendously low in value after you purchase it and after this next person purchases it. So don't look at it for that. Look at it for something that, if you really genuinely like the way this car looks, you genuinely like the way it drives once you jump in it, use it as that. Use it as a gift to you, that you just something that you always wanted and you just cashed in and did what you need to do, okay? But when issues do arise, what you will run into is a lot of electrical issues, y'all. Like a lot, okay? It has a lot of electrical issues, a lot of sticky buttons in the interior, and that kind of just goes to cheap interior parts as a whole. There's a lot of cheap interior parts, a lot of outdated interior parts from today's standards, or even back then to those standards. And like I mentioned, just a lot of electrical things that could potentially go wrong that can lead to a lot of bigger things down the road. Other than that, these cars aren't that bad, believe it or not. But those problems there's so many of them that can consist within just one little area that can turn into so many other bigger things, that this is why the car doesn't get good reliability, and that's why it could be a major factor or a major red flag for you in the future if you don't address these things immediately once you even have a hint of something going wrong. So keep that in mind. But let's move on. Number 4, that would be a 2010 to 2015 Jaguar XKR Coupe. This came equipped with a 5-liter V8, 510 horsepower, 461 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60, what we talking? 4.6 seconds. So this car right here, y'all, is actually a rare one. I should have threw it on y'all so y'all already knew. It's a rare one. You do not see many of these on the road. And believe it or not, this car is average to above average reliability. Now, mind you, it's a Jaguar, so you know these costs. But if you want to stand out, you want something luxurious that also has a lot of power, that also nobody is really driving like that, this is also going to be a great option for you. It looks good. It sounds good. And believe it or not, it drives very well as well. There has been a lot of people who own this car that said this is one of the best cars that they own. So just because it's a Jaguar, don't think that it's the worst when it comes to reliability, because this one in particular was actually above average. It was better than the rest. So keep that in mind. Issues that you may run into is oil consumption. Definitely burn through a lot of oil. A stuck thermostat. Make sure you check that thermostat. Make sure it's good. Timing chain tensioners. That seems to be a common problem with some of these cars. And water pump leaks. Okay, so you address those issues up front. You really shouldn't have too many issues with this car, believe it or not. And once again, you're jumping in this. Nobody is going to have this on the road. You're going to be pulling across. You're going to be pulling up a whole bunch of different areas, grocery stores, movie theaters, the mall, you feel me, restaurants. Wherever you go with this car, I guarantee you, people are going to look like, dang, like that's different. And it screams money, to be honest. You feel me? It screams a lot of money, because once again, when this car was brand new, it costed way more than what it is now. Depreciation has definitely hit it. So when it comes to some of these cars that many people think is unreliable, it becomes more of a bargain, of course, when that price gets hit by depreciation. So that's why things like this can be on this list, and you can say, maybe I can get a newer car like the Z, but if I really wanted to get something that I always love, now was the time to do it. So keep that in mind. But let's move on. Number 5, that would be a 2012 to 2015 Chevy Camaro ZL1. This came equipped with a 6.2 liter V8, 580 horsepower, 556 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60, what we talking? 3.9 seconds. Okay, so this right here is completely different than all the other cars on this list. This is going to be for you if you really want a track-focused car. If you really want a super sports car that if you tune it, you might be able to deal with some supercars here and there. This is what you want to jump into. And of course, the older generation, which is this one right here, not the most previous that came out, but this one still looks good. I'm sure you've seen this millions of times in Transformers, you feel me? So you know what that's about. Now, when it came to like the look of it interior wise, it doesn't seem the most modern from today's standards, but this is still a car that once you jump in and you hear that engine and you really drive it and you see what this car is capable of, I guarantee you forget about all the other stuff. I guarantee it. This car sounds good. Looks good. A lot of people know what it is, but a lot of people respect it as well. So if you pulling up to a Cars and Coffee, you pulling up to a car meet, they know, oh, he got the ZL1. Oh, all right, okay. You feel me? That's a conversation starter off rip. It looked good, like I mentioned before, and you could take this anywhere. This is a all-purpose vehicle. You could daily this if you really wanted to. Is it the best daily? No, but if you wanted to, the option is there. But if you wanted to take this to the track, you're going crazy. You're going to be able to have fun on a day-to-day basis with this car and drive it to the limit, because that's really what it was made for. So this car is going to be probably, arguably, not even arguably, this is going to be the funnest car on this list. So if that's what you're looking for, definitely check one of these out. When it came to reliability, it was above average to good reliability and actually cheap to maintain. Now, when it came to issues with this car, some people will complain about the anti-theft system. You would have some issues with that. The gas cap issue, you know, it was weird, but you had that issue. Leaking valve covers, something to check, and just electrical issues overall. So not many electrical issues comparison to like the Maserati. This is a car that didn't have too many major issues. And when those issues did arise, this car is not hard to work on. So if you're savvy with some tools, you put this up, jack it up in your garage, you good. You can do a lot of the work yourself. And the things that you can't, of course, you can outsource, but just know that these parts are not going to be super expensive like some of the other foreigns on this list. So you're dealing with a car that's super fun, that's actually above average reliability or good, and it's not that tough to maintain. I mean, yo, if you ain't sold on that, I don't know what's gonna sell you. But I digress. Just like that, y'all, that's my list. The fastest cars under 40K. You should jump in, but you already know how I do. I always gotta drop a bonus on you. And the bonus of the day would be, I ain't gonna lie, y'all probably seen this coming, a 2015 to 2018 Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat. It came equipped with a 6.2 liter V8, 707 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60, what we talking? 3.6 seconds. So first and foremost, that's cap. I don't know who is doing 3.6 seconds, 0 to 60 in a Hellcat, and if they are, it's probably one person out of 10. That's going to be very rare. These cars do not put the power down well at all. But to be fair, I gotta give respect to Hellcat because everybody uses this as a staple to compare speed to. This car is gonna do over 200 miles per hour, okay? Easily. Big 6.2 liter V8, 707 horsepower. You know what this car did when it came out. Everybody talked about it. Everybody went crazy on it. And shout out Tall Guy Car Reviews and Mr. Organic, because Tall Guy Car Reviews was the person who first put me on this car, right? He was the first black creator that jumped in a Hellcat and just was on YouTube with it going crazy. First person I've seen. If you've seen anybody else, literally tell me, but I doubt you can. He put it on the map, and Mr. Organic came with him, you feel me? And they went crazy on this platform. So shout out to them. I definitely watch a lot of their videos coming up. And to this day, sometimes if they dropping something crazy, I'm going to check it out. So I got to salute to them on that because they really put this car on the map. But this car is technically saturated. A lot of people have owned it or own it currently. And to be fair, this is a car that is going to be fun, but it is also going to be very dangerous. And it's also going to be a magnet. There's no other way to put it, y'all. You get this, there's going to be a lot of safety precautions you're going to have with getting this car. And personally, I would not recommend this car to anyone who doesn't protect their Second Amendment, okay? So if you're not strapped, I would not mention to get this car, and legally too, not illegally. If you strapped illegally, again, it just leads to more problems. And that's why I haven't really spoken too much about these cars in particular, because it's really a risk. It's really a potential threat to your safety jumping in one of these. And is it worth it? Yes and no. Yes and no. Maybe if you wanted to experience it for a short period of time and then be done with it after the fact, then yeah, it could be. But again, still in that time span, if you owning this car, you're gonna have multiple kill switch. You have to. You have to have a couple trackers. You feel me? You have to have, other safety precautions in line that's gonna prevent somebody from wanting to do that to you. You feel me? I mean, there ain't no other way to put it. And if they do get off with this car, you could definitely shut them down, or you could shut them down before they could even take off with this car. You feel me? So that's definitely going to be something to look out for. I wouldn't even advise you to own this if you don't own a home. I mean, I can't even really say that. A home, an apartment, no matter where you at with this car, y'all, if people know you got it and they see you often, they're gonna try to track it down. Unfortunately, that's just the unfortunate part about this car. I think it drops the value of this car tremendously, because just to insure something like this is crazy, because they know these cars get totaled all the time because nobody can handle the power when they jump in them, and they don't put the power down right. And they know these are high theft vehicles, so they're gonna be stealing these cars all the time. Now you're gonna have to file an insurance. You have to file this through your insurance, and they're gonna have to pay you out. So this car is gonna be very hard to insure. It's gonna be pretty much a challenge for you to drive it every day, depending on where you're going. This is not a car that you want a daily, by no means. This is something that you pull out very rarely. You really don't even want a lot of people to know that you got it, unless you're a content creator. And if you're a content creator, still, you want to follow the precautions of this car, because you really don't want to get caught out there. It's too easy to get caught out there with this car. When it came to reliability, this was above average to good, believe it or not. But when issues did arise, you could run into supercharger problems, transmission problems, a lot of brake wear, because the car is big. You really need expensive brakes. Regular stock brakes wasn't the best for this. And oil leaks. Okay, so not major issues. Once again, this car is still going to be relatively easier to work on when things do go wrong with it. But the biggest red flag for this car is everybody's going to want it, and they're going to want to take it from you, unfortunately. So if you're not protecting your Second Amendment, and you don't have a whole bunch of safety precautions in line to prevent somebody from taking this car from you, I would not advise you to get this, by no means. So just like that, y'all, that's my list. If it was up to me, what would I jump in? Honestly, I'm probably going to jump in that ZL1. Okay, but if I don't jump in that ZL1, I could see the Hellcat. I could see it. And I could see that Jag too. You feel me? That's my top 3. But it's just tough. The Hellcat could be higher on the list, but the fact that it comes with so many problems, I'm not trying to deal with it. I'm sure a lot of y'all not trying to deal with it. You've seen what happens to people. A lot of people lost their lives for this car, unfortunately. So when you add all of that in it, it just doesn't seem like the best option, but it's still a great option if that's what you're looking for. I do believe that muscle car in particular is going to rise in value. It'll take a lot of time, I believe, before it does start to rise, but it was still one of a kind, and it was still a staple in just muscle cars in general. You feel me? So if you can get one of these, I would definitely say get it, put it up somewhere. You feel me? Chill with it. Maybe bring this out a few times a month. Don't go too crazy with it unless you're a content creator. You feel me? And just make sure you got everything in line, all the safety measures to keep up with this car, so you don't get caught out there. But just like that, y'all, that's the video today. If you're looking to tune your car, or you're looking to mod your car, make sure you check the link in my description. I got you. All type of parts you need, we'll get to you in a timely manner. You'll be able to tune your car, make it faster, make it look better, make it drive better, make it more reliable. You feel me? So definitely do that, because we not trying to be the dude on the side of the road with a broken down car. We don't like that, and that ain't cool for nobody. So make sure you address these problems before they happen, or if you got them already, definitely check that link in my description. But if you like this video, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, and just like that, I'm out of here. Peace.